Howdy y'all, Hammurabae here with a tutorial for the 1.7 update from Millennium Dawn, which is a submod for Hearts of Iron 4. I've already put out a few other tutorials that relate to things coming in this update, but I wanted to do one simply highlighting all the major 1.7 changes, as there are a few things that are important to understand. I reworked the military MD tutorial, which I will link here, but for economics and politics, I will wait to redo them until the huge 1.8 update coming sometime next year. This current update features major reworkings of the military systems in the game, as well as some other big changes. It is important to note that it will not be compatible with the By Blood Alone DLC, as the Paradox team does not work much with mod teams. In order to play it, you will need to roll back your version on Steam, which I will explain at the end of this tutorial. Let's get going. I cover military changes a lot more in detail in the military tutorial I put out, but I will cover all the major points here. A huge thing to note with the 1.7 update is that the AI has been hugely improved. I, for one, am used to fighting the AI and dealing with their mediocre divisions, and not being particularly competent. But with this update, they are now much tougher. The AI is now programmed to make quality divisions which fit more in line with the meta, or at least are able to hold their own against players in their divisions. If you are a returning player, do not take the AI for granted and act accordingly. Land and naval systems have received a rework and are now different than the past. The major differences are that terrain is now much stronger for defending, broadly speaking. Marines and Airborne are now underneath Special Forces. The tank designer has been added, Doctrine has been slightly reworked, and Special Forces have been debuffed. I will link my remade military tutorial here, so you will be able to cover that much more in detail. The tank designer is being added for 1.7. Although it is not incredibly detailed, it will give you plenty of customizable options to choose from if you want to build your own tank units. Do keep in mind they are very costly, so make sure you are a major power or you have the military capacity to produce them. Just like real life, MD will be adding private military corporations to the game. These are essentially divisions that you can hire for a cost, and will of course require a little to maintain. You are also able to create your own, though the options are very limited at present. It is worth noting that the mechanics of war have been slightly tweaked when it comes to spending costs in the military. When you are at war, your military spending will now be double its normal cost, due to the fact wartime costs for the military are significantly higher, so consider this in your budget when preparing for wars. The 1.7 update includes several new and reworked focus trees that are absolutely worth playing. Iran has a massive tree that is absolutely fantastic to play through, and features many political paths to follow. This is my favorite of the new trees and should not be missed. Spain has also received a massive tree that will allow you to navigate the modern cultural issues and political extremism that have plagued the country for the last 2 decades. Both Azerbaijan and Armenia now have trees, which of course are very connected due to the two countries' intense rivalry in history. If you want to learn about the Caucasus and play through these massive trees, definitely check them out. Italy has received some new content to their focus tree, though I, for one, am still patiently waiting for the dating simulator mechanic for Berlusconi, as he chases down and romances every single world leader's wife.
Siete così bravi che mi viene voglia di invitarvi al bunga bunga. Complimenti e grazie. Sì, sei abbastanza carino.
One can dream. Anyway, what was I saying? Italy has received new content for the political policy, the papal states, mafia dynamics, and the military. The US is going to be getting a huge rework, and the first part of this will be added to 1.7. The old focus tree was interesting, but failed to accurately depict the complicated political and economic state of the modern United States, which, to be fair, is no easy thing to do. If you are already done a US playthrough, it is worth coming back to try out the new changes. It is worth noting that the generic focus tree has been expanded and been given more options. A lot of nations do not have a tree at present, but are incredibly interesting due to their location and history. This will make them more fun and engaging to play. The biggest change to the political system in Millennium Dawn is the addition of the ideology bonus system. This is the first version of it, and expect changes in 1.8 and beyond. Essentially, this is an attempt to portray the advantages to certain political parties that exist for better or worse. They feature a wide range of useful benefits, though you will only receive them for having a party that fits the criteria, which vary by country, but can easily be found in the political party menu. For example, if you are a monarchist, it will allow you to benefit for all of the inbreeding that is required to keep the bloodline pure and your jawline distended. Shout out to Lemur for this one. A submod was made for HOI4 a while back that changed the way research slots are given to countries and made it based off of GDP and GDP per capita for Millennium Dawn. The MD devs liked it so much that they incorporated it into the 1.7 update, which is fantastic as it makes scientific power seem much more dynamic and based off of progress. Growing your economy and LARPing the increase to scientific capacity that comes with it is very fulfilling. I assume this is also a power play by the MD devs to make it clear to everyone constantly complaining about their mod that they do listen to the community, but specifically the part that actually does something instead of bitching in the Discord. Economic decisions are incredibly useful, especially for small countries, as leasing industrial complexes can be the difference between 1 and 4 civilian factories starting out. These decisions have been moved to the economic menu and can be a little harder to find, but are now more conveniently placed. Another minor change is that GDP per capita, which is essentially the average wage of a person in a nation, though this is never the case due to rich wannabe dragons like Bezos hoarding all of their gold in their sex dungeons, will now impact welfare and education increased costs. For example, if you are a really poor country like Uganda, the cost to increase your spending on healthcare will be relatively much more expensive, compared to a high GDP per capita country like South Korea. This is an attempt to show the difficulty of developing countries building up these programs from scratch. Lastly, I want to say again that this update will not be compatible with the big vanilla HOI4 update coming out in a few days. As such, you will need to roll back your HOI version to play in the 1.7 Millennium Dawn update in the future. To do this, go to your game in Steam, right-click on the game, go to Properties, select Betas, and click on the older version of the game. This was a short video to highlight the major changes of the 1.7 Millennium Dawn update. This mod is my absolute favorite, so I try to always give some help to players wanting to learn it and keep up to date. If you want to see teasers and annoy the devs, you can do so in the Discord, which I will link in the video description. I hope you all enjoyed. I'm Hammurabae, and I will catch you later.